Hi guys, this is John from Outsider Games, lead animator and resident idiot. Doing yet another live draw stream. I've recorded a few of these so far, but they've all been time-lapsed. So you get about 14 hours work in like about 16 minutes, and it makes my job like incredibly easy and fun and not annoying whatsoever. The difference with this one being that it's going to be in real time. I'm not doing anything, I'm just kind of getting some stuff up. This should last about an hour. I have one character left to draw in this lineup of ultra super hipster vampires for our upcoming game, Wailing Heights, and I figured I would do this in real time just to show you how long it can take just to even do the simplest things. Also, you see the process a little bit better. You'll probably see me mess a whole load of this up, but it's always fun to see people get stuff right. I left this character, this little one here, to the last because she's the playable one out of this fine group of individuals. You might see that there's some art that goes over. It's all on different layers. It just hasn't been colored yet. They're cut up into a few pieces, but this one will have to be cut up. Everything will have to be cut up. She's the only one with a walk cycle, so I have to draw pretty much everything that you see and then everything you don't see behind her, so that when you move an arm, you see the whole arm. Even stuff that's covered by this coat when it's in the standard resting position, and then the animation will be done either in Spine or Unity. This is the little, what do you call it? An intro demo that we're doing for an upcoming event. I think we've got about 2-3 weeks left to animate and kind of do an entire scene. Being the senior animator, the lead animator, it's all up to me. And by lead animator, I mean I am the only one who animates in the company, so if it looks bad, you blame me. Or Stephen, I'm going to blame Stephen. Alright, I'll get to work here. These poses, I spent a couple of hours referencing them, I guess. More so for the clothes rather than anything else. Not so much. Well, the poses too, kind of. It just means that I had to spend about 2 hours looking at photos of bloody hipsters all day. I think that sounds good, but it can get pretty old pretty quickly. This is being done in Manga Studio 5, not the EX version, the regular version where you can only do one page at a time. I'm not even really sure what the difference between this version and the premium version or whatever it is called. Seeing as these are all vampires, it's kind of hard to see from this size, but I am giving them like bat noses. It kind of just looks like I'm drawing the nose wrong, but like bat noses kind of do that. So I thought that would be funny to give them like kind of bad noses. Nobody's ever done that, but it also makes them a wee bit less relatable, I suppose, because like they still look like they're still fairly human, I guess. I designed all these vampires myself, so if you don't like them, then it's my fault. We went for like not a corpse rotty thing, but I would assume that vampires don't need to eat. So we'll have them all like kind of super skinny, almost corpse-like, I suppose. She's not anorexic, I swear. Get the teeth in there. I decided to do the classic, just show the teeth, no matter what you're doing, even though that would just make life so very difficult if you had to deal with these two things coming out of the bottom of your mouth the whole time. But this is fictional, so who cares? I had to design all these characters myself, which is fun. You get to play a lot. You get to play around a lot. I like doing kind of mad angular hairstyles, I guess. That one's not really working out so much though. But the design principles for this game were kind of to make it try to make it look like a comic. Myself and Stephen, well, definitely him more so than me, are comic artists. So we have a whole load of artists helping out with this project. But at the moment, it's just me and him. So well, he's a lot better than I am. So I'm just trying to keep up. He's worked on kind of Turok and Flash Gordon and, you know, actual books, while I've worked on the kind of local stuff, which I'm not complaining about. You know, you gotta start somewhere. But yeah, the kind of the talent we'll have eventually coming in this project is actually a bit frightening. Got like so far confirmed, I think PJ Holden and John McCrae. Think like Declan Shelby's doing something for it, and then a few writers. I don't really care about the artists. Anybody can write. Totally joking. Writing's just as hard, if not harder. No, it's just as hard. It's not harder. I'm not really gonna have time to do a lot with this character. I picked her to be the one to animate. I think just because she has the best silhouette. She kind of has like really long legs and big gangly arms. She kind of looks. She looks strange. You can still tell she's supposed to be a person, obviously, but her dimensions aren't quite right. But you know, that's not always a bad thing. Seeing as the characters in this game kind of range from like ghosts, swamp things, werewolves, what else? Zombies. So they're all kind of, you know, all a little obvious. So I tried to make the vampires, which would be the ones that are most likely to look like people, kind of look a bit weird. So they've all got these like kind of upturned noses, and I think that's a good example. Her there, it's a good nose. Someone shouted at me for not having any twirly mustaches in it, so give that guy one. Who doesn't like no curly mustache? This is definitely the most work I've ever done for a game. Like up until 5 months ago. You know, I had never worked on a game in my life. I was trying to get into the comic. I was trying to get into comics. It was going well enough, but it was as much too good an opportunity to pass up. So I went with this. And I'm very glad I did, even though, you know, comics are great and everything. But your work can be very sporadic. You can go months without having any titles to work on. I probably would have anyway, seeing as I was very new to the scene, so I took this job knowing fully well how to animate, but not for games. All I'd ever done is my own kind of little 2D frame by frame stuff. I see this is where kind of drawing underneath becomes a bit of a pain, because you have to end up drawing more than you think you would see. So you have to make sure that all your kind of bases are covered. This shirt mostly will be covered by this coat, but if the coat moves, then there's got to be something underneath it. Otherwise it won't make sense. The level for this is already done. I think I've put up a few videos on it. I think in total I probably spent about 2 days doing it. I know that doesn't sound like very much, but by 2 days I mean 48 hours. Not like 2 working days at 8 hours a bit. It was a lot of hard work, but I think it ended up looking pretty well. So have to make sure I just don't mess it up with designing shitty characters that no one would like. So these silhouettes for these vampires are just as important as the detail, I suppose. They don't look quite human. The arms are maybe a bit longer, their frames maybe a bit more slender, I guess. I think that would make sense. Alright. Excuse me. If you stick with this the whole way through, you're going to see a lot. I do mean a lot of rubbing out. I have anyone who's ever watched me work before, it's a bit harder to tell when everything's sped up, but if anyone who's ever seen me work in real time, I erase probably about 60% of what I draw is just me erasing stuff, because I can do better, you know. It's the nice thing about working digitally, it gives you a lot of leeway when it comes to mistakes, but it also means that it's very easy to be happy with what you've got. Like, you make a good line, you think, well, if this was on paper, I would be totally happy with this. But because you can change it so easily, I'll take another few goes at it as I rub stuff out. Looks pretty decent. This group of people is standing outside a queue to get into a coffee shop. You might be thinking to yourself, why would you need to stand in a queue to get into a coffee shop? Well, because they're types of vampires. So even their coffee shops are exclusive. And that's about all the reason we thought we needed for that. Which is why there's a bouncer and stuff. Also, this game has Minotaur cops, which is pretty good. I don't think that's ever been done in a game before, so I'm sure you can find an image of that somewhere. Pretty fun to look. Usually when people are doing these kind of things, they talk about their, their, not hobbies so much, but like, kind of where they get their inspiration and all that nonsense. This, I wouldn't call this strictly comic work. It's a bit too clean for the way I would draw comics. Like, if I were to go to my go-to Batman, like comics, you know, like it's all up to you. Like you don't have to make any bones. You can be as messy or as clean as you want. It's a pretty per example, like, but you know what I mean. It's gotten to the stage pretty much now where, you know, normally I would stick down like guidelines or whatever, but drawing Batman so much that it was just muscle memory at this stage. And the secret to being a good artist is to be able to do that with a whole load of stuff. For instance, I still have a problem with drawing believable women, I guess, like believable women's faces. So when you've got to do game work where drawing everything needs to be understood. It's a bit it's a bit harder if you can't cheat your way out of it with like kind of just scribbling. The nice thing about being able to draw scribble is that someone will pick a line and they will, you know, like subconsciously they will think to themselves, that's the line that he meant to use, you know, not all the other ones. Somebody might think it's another line, I probably think it's another line, but they each see a version of what you at least try to get down, and that's a lot harder when you have to be, you know, super careful. So I put a lot of detail into the backgrounds for this game. The people, as you can see, not that they're not detailed, but not quite as detailed. Like the backgrounds, majority so far, like I've done 4 or something by this stage, we're all drawn at like 100% zoom. What that means is that something that looks neat from this is currently at 66.7, looks neat enough, you know, like when you zoom in, it's all blotchy and it doesn't look right at all, but you can't tell. So I drew those outside scenes at 100% so that it was neat at 100%, and it was stuff that people were never going to be able to see. Like you couldn't see this at 100% at all. Like I would go and fix every one of these little corners and make sure everything made sense right up at the highest level of detail, and it was just totally unnecessary. If I was to redo the outside for this scene, I would probably do it about twice as quickly as this stage, because I've learned that while I may have like a very high a very high demand for detail, not only does not everyone else, but you may not even be able to see it. So, you know, it's really pointless. So sometimes sorting these drawings into layers can be a wee bit of a pain, because you have elements that go both in front of and behind other things, you know, elements in the character, and you don't want to have too many levels. You don't want to have too many levels to animate. Every level is about an extra, you know, bloody 4 hours of work, depending on what you're doing. So for instance, like this coat goes in front and behind her head. So normally I would have her head on top and then colour in between the head and the coat. But if I was to do that, then this part of the coat would come in front of her head, this part here. So unless I cut this off into its own layer, which I'm not going to do, because then you would have to animate 2 tiny pieces of coat that you wouldn't see anyway, just for more work. So I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to leave it. You can use your imagination. For instance, even here with the coat, hey, real quick, didn't delete it, just hide it. With the coat, I have to draw what falls under the arm, because the arm will move and you'll need to see coat underneath it. Sometimes you don't realise this kind of stuff when you're designing a character. So just a big girl, or a wee tiny girl in a big dumpy coat, and that's right, the leggings with the cloves of garlic on it, because we all know everybody loves a wee bit of irony, some more than others. At least, to be fair, they were all fun to draw. Like, I'm kind of half taking the piss about like what kind of clothes they were, but it was very fitting for the way we wanted them to look. They tried to be as original as possible here, so like they're all going to be coloured like a very kind of light blue, and where I was going to have them, you know, covered in like upside down crosses, just to be like a little bit ironic, but I think that might not happen, you know, the safe side. So, you know, kind of influences the way they act as characters in a game, and I'm not entirely sure, have there been hipsters in a game yet? You never know, might be a wee bit too new for that. So here I'm putting the layer for the left arm right at the bottom. All you can see of the left arm in this sketch is this little part here, I'm gonna have to draw the whole thing because it will have to come out from behind her to form a decent walk cycle. Hopefully it forms a decent walk cycle. I also drew a bag in here, but I think I'm just going to leave that because I can't. It's unnecessary. So normally you would even have to draw the arm in two pieces. You would have to separate it at the wrist, or sorry, at the elbow. But I got a little program for Unity, a 2D puppeteer that will let you kind of turn this into one big definable blob, pretty much, and you'll be able to kind of squash and stretch it without having to redraw everything a whole lot of times. Hopefully it works. If not, I'll just have to end up drawing the whole thing again. I wanted to have this game look like Don Bluth was involved, but I am not that good, and we don't have 7 years or however long it would take for me, a single person, to animate an entire game alone in 2D frame by frame. Which I actually really want to do that, which is probably really stupid, but that's how you learn. So hopefully this giant coat will cover what will eventually be animated as a full separate piece arm. It's the hope anyway. Hands, always a big problem. Sometimes they just make sense, like a position. You kind of don't want to say I draw it on purpose so that the hands will be easy. Sometimes it just looks out like fists, or holding something from a certain angle. Drawn hands is something that people have a lot of problem with. I personally hate drawing feet more because I haven't gotten a lot of practice, and I haven't practiced it too much because I don't like drawing them, and I don't like drawing them because I haven't got enough practice. It's the same thing, which is also why I can't drive. No practice. So far for this game, I have drawn 5 characters or something. So it's gonna be a long time before the whole thing is done. I don't know if we have like a proper release date or anything sorted for this, but it'll be pretty exciting. I've never worked on a game before, so I'm not gonna share what if someone says a game's gonna take 9 months, are they absolutely stuck to 9 months, or does it get to 7 months in and they're like, oh no, we don't have any of this done, we're gonna have to postpone, get some help. If anybody wants a job, email me. If you can work for free, that would be great. Work experience, yeah, do work experience. Sacrifice. Once again, I'm just going to mesh the arm when I'm done, so hopefully the one piece will be enough. Also, these vampires have claws, just the female ones. They have claws and pointier ears than the men. The one that I give just a little bit of a difference between the two of them. Depends on how far you see them from and what you'll be able to tell. Alright, this hand could either go brilliantly or horribly. Probably because I'm being recorded, it'll go horribly. See, this sketch here is literally just a sketch. There's no the difference between like drawing a full hand and just sketching one is like where these tiny lines go absolutely make all the difference. If you can manage to, if you are drawing a hand, if you can manage to draw one from the same angle that you can just look at your other hand at, like for instance I'm left-handed, and I think I drew this while looking at my left hand, just how things fall. That is absolutely not cheating. and I would highly recommend doing it. Like for years I thought reference was cheating just because of what I was taught in like 6th year art school. Or no, sorry, just 6th year regular school. And you know, it's that little jab that one horrible person with a teacher got in once before stopped me from using reference for years. So like, you know, as a comic artist, or you know, just someone who draws people, you need to know where things go. It doesn't matter how you learn. Like you can spend all day, like just a full day, full weekend, full fortnight, full month, whatever, just not tracing but drawing pictures of people, just so you know where everything is properly. And all you will do, the more you do that, is learn where stuff should go, and it's the only way you can do that. Like if you continue to draw without references, then the only thing that will suffer is how proper your artwork looks. Like people will be able to probably like see potential, but also see a lot of mistakes that you can fix just with a little bit of like anatomy practice. Like for instance here, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy with this hand. But then again, it's more of a claw rather than a hand. Now you draw the same kind of features enough, you eventually just get like, you just get better at just off the top of your head knowing what to do, what not to do, what to focus on, what not to focus on. Like that was what, about 2-3 minutes there, and that's pretty decent looking hand, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave this one for later. Go to hell. Seeing the back of a hand is always easier than seeing the inside of a hand. A whole different set of rules. And also, I'm drawing legs is also a big weakness. I myself will have to take probably like months of my classes, but kind of just do nothing but draw legs for a while just to see how they fit with the rest of the body. I don't know why I'm so bad at it. Like for instance, this was referenced from a photo. Like by reference, I don't mean traced. I just mean used. You know, use the photo to like work out, you know, bones and like where legs bend, like what direction they can go. Like, I don't know. Apparently, like drawing women is supposed to be an S. It would be that way. No, that way. Yeah. Like the curvature of the spine, like when people's legs fucking bend weird ways, and you don't realize that until you try to draw one. Trying to draw up her. But for some reason, I just haven't got enough, as much practice at drawing legs as I have arms and heads and faces and all that stuff. I don't know why. I think usually any big drawings, I haven't done that much comic stuff myself, so any full body drawings were kind of meticulous or planned. You know, like I can take my time, but like off the cuff, I can't just do legs, which is kind of shit, kind of annoying. So when you're splitting these up into different pieces, you have to split it up into pelvis and 2 legs. So getting this all to fit is a little bit of a nightmare, but when it looks well, it looks pretty well. I think these will be animated in spine, I think, separately. If not, I'll just do them in Photoshop. Also, another reason I'm not quite as comfortable with drawing women as I am with men, mostly because there's something weird happens when you're drawing women. Like let's just say I was sitting, you know, in work and I had a reference photo up of, you know, some chick in her underwear, like just so you can see, you know, where everything sits naturally. People will be like, what are you looking at? You know, what are you doing? And there's a certain amount of like kind of I don't want to say shame, but you know, you do it in your own time, and then you feel a little bit even worse about it. Like this is something that, you know, you've learned to do away separately from everything else. And it's kind of stupid. Like you need to know all these things. You need to know how to draw everybody. It's the one thing that nobody tells you about drawing comics is that you have to be able to draw any amount of objects, any amount of people, from any amount of angles, any amount of different times, you know. And it's really hard because you can have this really fantastic idea and you can just ruin it because you can't, you know, draw a car, or you don't know how to draw feet properly. Or you can make a career out of it and become a millionaire like Rob Liefeld. But we'll not talk about him because he's evil. No, I think over the past year or so, I've started getting a little bit more comic book work. So I've had opportunity to draw people full body from various angles that, admittedly, I didn't draw just for the sake of drawing enough, as much as I should have. Like I should have been just taking, you know, like maybe a day, a week, or you know, a few days a month just to do splash pages of like reference for men and women. You know, like yeah, I've done it the odd time, but I could definitely do doing it more. So the leg here is split up into 2 parts. It will be split up into 3. Well, 4, I think, including that. So that when you animate it, it moves at the knee, and then the shin can follow from an arc. Instead of having to animate it all individually, it will be done as a puppet for those of you who know what that is. It just means that you create a system over the artwork. You pretty much give any artwork that you do a set of bones that act like real bones. So you know, you move a shoulder, everything connected to the shoulder moves, and if you connect everything properly, then everything you've drawn for an arm will move at once, meaning that you know you don't have to do everything individually, which saves time, I suppose, but I still prefer doing it all individually. Like, I know there aren't many games that use full, you know, 2D hand-drawn animation, and with good reason. It just takes too long, I guess. You know, 3D animation has totally changed the way, not only the way people look at animations, but how they're done. But there's so many people who are just totally mind-blowingly good at it that for me to start now at 25 actually seems like a bit of a waste of time. So I will remain stoic in my love for traditional 2D animation. And also the fact that there isn't that many people doing 2D animation in games, say besides like the Banner Saga or something like that, just makes me want to do it all the more. Like, I know the adventure genre is still kind of huge with animators and artists alike because the majority of them are all just 2D, the way we're doing art. None of them are very big. Like they are the interest in those games, like, you know, Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle, Escape from Monkey Island, you know, they exist but only with a very small amount of people, so people have stopped. Alright, shut up. People have stopped making them on a grand scheme. I think the last one probably would be Broken Age by Double Fine. Well, mostly because Tim Schafer was involved in the majority of the ones that people are used to anyway, you know. Psychonauts being the best one. So that's about 35 minutes or so on one pretty simple inked piece. Not finished yet, obviously, but when you have to do this 10 or let's say 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I think this is my 5th month, going into the 6th. There is really only so much drawing you can do in a day, unfortunately, and sometimes it just gets the best of you. You know, like if you have a job in an office, you go in, you do like a fairly menial job, but that's it. Like, you don't have to worry about suddenly not being able to do it. The one bad thing about being, you know, I keep using the word creative, but one of the bad things about being a creative or a job is that you can run out. Like, you can hit a wall and you can mess up, and it will seem like you can get nothing right, which absolutely happens. I think every so often, you know, you'll try doing a drawing, you'll mess it up, and then you'll be like, no, hold on, I'll go do it again, and you just can't get it, and that'll be you for the whole day, and it's so annoying. It feels like you're just wasting everyone's time. And then, like a day or two later, you know, you'll draw something stupid that, you know, will help society in absolutely no way. Or, you know, it'll just make you feel better. For me, at the moment, it's drawing stuff for japbomb.com. There's just something very calming about, you know, drawing a giant reindeer attacking New York. And, you know, you do little stupid stuff like that, and yeah, kind of helps you get your groove back. I think either your drawing bucket is limited, definitely. I'm sure, like, even like, you know, musicians and stuff, I'm absolutely sure have like a day where they just can't get anything right, and then they'll come back a day or two later, or a night later after thinking about it for a whole lot, and they'll just be like, hold on, I know exactly what I was doing wrong, and just bang it out, and it'll be amazing. You get a lot of that. You get a lot of that in here as well. You can spend all day doing a drawing, and you can just ruin it. You just ruin your outlook on everything. And what, for instance, one of the levels we were doing for this, I spent about 7 hours colouring it one day, and sometimes you can't see mistakes you're making because you're too close. Literally too close. Like, you're drawing like this, and you're putting detail in, and you know, you don't zoom out enough, you don't get the big picture. I spent 9 hours colouring this thing, and it just looked like absolute shit after I was done. It just looked like garbage. But I have a pretty good eye for colour. You know, I like being a wee bit experimental, I suppose. But you know, it normally works out pretty well, and I was just so annoyed with myself. Like, the guys come over to, you know, kind of as we were wrapping up, just to check, like, well, what have you been at all day? And I didn't even want to show them it. It's just like, I zoomed out right at the very last, at about 5 to 6. We finished at 6 o'clock. I zoomed out, and I just couldn't do it. Went home, was in a bad mood for the rest of the night. I came in the next day and created, you know, after a night of just beating the hell out of himself about it, I came in and done something much, much, much better. And you know, you can only really do that once you fail. I know this all looks a bit messy here, but it will be cleaned up for the final one. Nearly done. And as you can see, I tried moving an arm or the leg a little bit there. This isn't cut up quite right yet. Annoyingly, like, it stops. There's a lot of getting joints right can be a bit of a pain. There's a lot of figuring out that needs done first, but this is just kind of a preliminary puppet. It will be done more vigorously later. I will not stop. All I've really got left to do here is the hand. One thing you should never, I know it sounds like it would probably save a whole lot of time. never copy and paste a hand. I've seen some people doing it before, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Some people don't seem to realize that, you know, it's not how thumbs go. It's not how, you know, the amount of drawings you've seen just with really stupid copy and pasted elements is a bit strange. Oh well, you know, some people can be in a hurry, I guess. Like for instance, I kind of wish I'd take more time with my sketches, because now this hand is just an amorphous blob that doesn't make any sense. Can't quite tell what I was trying to... Oh, there we go. Sometimes hands there are short ways to learn how to draw hands. You can, you know, kind of break everything down into really ridiculous shapes and spend, you know, ages doing it. But after a while, you know, you just start to, like anything, you get used to where the stuff goes, and you know, you just get faster. But hands are one thing I would definitely say reference while you can. I know a whole lot of people just like literally will just take photos of their hands or hand, I suppose. And I probably should start doing that, but I've never had a lot of problems with them, I guess. I know some people just can't fathom how to draw them, but I don't know. I've always had kind of a sort of easy time visualizing them. Still get them wrong all the time, like, but you know, sometimes it just works. Sometimes it works more than others, unfortunately. Like for instance here, normally you should have a pretty decent flushed out sketch underneath that you can just quickly draw over, but I don't, because I don't prepare enough. Also, to keep these a similar size with the other one. Unless we end up with some kind of large-handed vampire nut job. As I said earlier on, I wrote out a whole lot of stuff. I think quickly just do. I would say for a long time I was always really annoyed by having to redraw stuff, so I would take something that, you know, kind of looked right, like you could make a case for it, I suppose, and try to make it, you know, this is it, this is what it should look like, and it never actually works out. So if you have the opportunity to work digitally and, you know, just get it right the first time, just redraw it. Don't be, you know, everybody makes mistakes. You know, one thing that I've learned from, you know, kind of watching people's processes and stuff is that, you know, everybody uses shortcuts. Like, people do the things the way they do because after many years of, you know, practice. After many years of practice, that's what they've decided the best way is. But, you know, everybody's shortcuts. Everybody references. Everybody, you know, Steve's not that much Steve's like, but, you know, if you look at comic books, you'll see like kind of scenes from movies and all in there, characters from other things. Some people, I'm not saying you should do this, but some people even steal other people's artwork. Which is, well, that's very bad. I actually never do that. But I'm just saying that it is done, and it's usually fine, because, you know, the people who are doing it are buttholes still. It is funny to see, you know, kind of there are proper professional artists who get away with it. Kind of, who would be the biggest offender? I think it's got to be somewhere between Rob Liefeld and Greg Land, as far as comics concerned. Rob Liefeld steals his own drawings, which is a bit strange. Like, people have, you know, kind of made comparisons around comics that he's done. Specifically stuff on like New Mutants and, you know, kind of his older. That's probably his newer stuff as well. Actually, his kind of older stuff where they show him stealing his own artwork, like stuff that he'd done for previous covers. He'll just reuse the exact pose of a drawing again. You know, like, people pay him for it. You know, it's somebody busting your ass, like. But I think Rob Liefeld doesn't work that much anymore. Well, I know he does. Like, he works just as much as anybody else. But I think Greg Land is a funnier example, because his stealing is beyond blatant. There's entire websites developed just to show him stealing. There's I think it's a Tumblr blog or something like that. And I find it makes me feel better, at the same time annoys me that, you know, people are getting paid for it, while, you know, there are genuinely talented artists who are busting their asses to make a name, and then there's somebody who's just doing that and getting all, you know, Marvel's best titles. I can't get this hand. The Tumblr blog, it just shows that he steals not only, like, pretty much exclusively from Google, but he seems to use porn as a reference for almost all the women's faces that he draws. They all kind of have this, like, kind of glazed eye sex doll look, and you wouldn't really notice it unless someone's pointed it out to you. And from what I remember, I used to like his work. Like, back when I started reading comics, I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't know any better. You know, I thought, like, wow, you know, drawing all these every time. And then you look at the images that he's taken them from, and it's really annoying to see somebody do that. Like, I think one of the best examples is there's a photo of Iron Man clutching his chest, and people have found the very obvious stock photo that he took it from, of an old man, and he's drawn in the old man's facial features over the mask, so the mask has wrinkles, because he took the drawing from a picture of an old man, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And people pay him, and he gets paid a lot. But, you know, you could have deadlines, you could just be bored. Who knows? But it's funny to see that not everybody. It's okay to take a. It's alright to take the easy option every once in a while, just as long as you make up for it. I think I wouldn't feel so bad about maybe, you know, like, copy and pasting a background or something that I drew into another scene. If you were a bit pressed for time, I suppose. I wouldn't say most people have a majority of that. I suppose with comics moving into digital, that's a thing that you kind of. It's just working with the tools that are given these days, I suppose. You know, people can't take shortcuts not because they're being lazy, but they're just using the technology at hand, and they could have like serious deadlines that now that option's there. They're like, well, you know, I've drawn it once. I don't need to do it again. It'll be fine. You know, Ryan Otley always makes fun, mostly of him. You know, he does it to himself. He put like a panel in of, you know, Invincible reading. I cannot get this hand right. Of Invincible reading the comic, and it's just the same panel like 4 times. And he has Invincible in the comic say like, isn't this a bit cheap? He's like, well, nobody notices. And he's right, like a lot of people don't, because digital comics, they don't all look the same, but it's very hard to tell one from the other. No, that's not right. Well, it's easy to see what was done digitally, what was done traditionally. I literally spent like 3-4 minutes earlier on saying about how I have no problems with hands, and then this happened. I may just leave this. I am doing this after hours and work, so this is after like 8 odd hours of drawing on top of that, on top of this, so you know, I think I may have run out for the day. Like I said earlier on, it does happen. Sometimes you can just reach your limit. Yeah, I go home. I'll do for the time being. The next time you see this, if you ever see this drawn again, that hand will have been changed. But just, you know, if anybody asked, just say it was amazing. So this layer there is drawn is split up into, what's that, like 14, 15 layers maybe, just so every piece is easier to animate. She's the only one that needs a walk cycle. I can kind of take my time, and then you can transfer the walk cycle over to other people, so you only kind of need to get it right once, and then you can tweak it a little bit. If someone's bigger or smaller, or faster or slower, you know. And if there's anybody out there who's looking into, you know, getting into making games, I mean, like I looked into it, especially around here in Northern Ireland and Belfast. There are a few companies, a few local companies who are doing pretty well at this whole, you know, this whole games thing. But just, you know, get your work out there, get a decent website. I met my now boss at a comic book creators meetup almost a year before I started working for him. And I remember I came into the interview and was like, I haven't seen you in like a year. So all you need to do, know one person. Just get to know one person. And that'll be it. Put your decent work up online. That always helps. And tweet everybody to death. That's how I got a job. Uproar. Tweeted them until they couldn't handle it anymore. Had to get me into the office. A few little tweaks. It's the reason why you name all your layers, because when you've got like 40 to deal with. There's that really great hand. And there we have it. That was our queue of miscreant vampire hipster coffee drinking bottles. Alright, thanks for listening. Sorry I wasted an hour of your lives, but you brought this on yourselves. I'll be doing one of these again. Me and Stephen, and we'll be doing one for the final version of the colouring of the location, and then we'll have a demo for this, hopefully available at QCon on the 21st of June 2015. So thanks for listening.